Welcome to Return to Athens, where it's full steam ahead with less than a month to go. We've got a sneak preview of what the Brits will be wearing in competition. And the return of a former Royal Olympian. All that and more as we return to Athens. First up, in many episodes, we have reported how Athens has been under enormous pressure to deliver the Games infrastructure after numerous investigations by the IOC found facilities either behind schedule or simply not even commenced. However, the Athenians have been frantic over the past months to put that right. Albeit close to the wire, the city is finally receiving a few A+s on her report card, with the opening ceremony now just weeks away.
There are no major problem, no major issue which could not be resolved in the remaining time. It will still need hard work, but the government is very committed to do everything possible to make the game successful.
Most of the projects are now either completed or are in the last phases of construction, and most works, such as a tram linking southern seaside venues to the city centre, are complete. It's just the main stadium complex which remains one of the few venues where construction is not fully completed. 5 weeks out and everything is just about ready to go, apart from cosmetic work.
We reviewed with the different ministers a number of issues we still have on the table before the game can start, mainly completion of different infrastructure. We got confirmation about dates and deadlines which have been discussed before to make sure that everything will be in place. As we all know, it's only a bit more than 1 month to go until the game starts.
In other good news, the Olympic Village, where 16,000 athletes and officials will stay during the Games, has been completed. It's to be officially opened at the end of July. Arriving at the village and probably in awe of the facilities will be a little recognised group of athletes representing the Southeast Asian country of Cambodia. Although they have little chance of success, Cambodia's hopefuls are thankful of the chance to compete after years of international isolation due to political instability. Among the team is 16-year-old 100-metre runner Su Titlinda, whose personal best of 13.89 suggests she has little hope of making it past the first heat. She's simply looking forward to being able to run on a synthetic track.
When I saw the rubber track in Malaysia recently, I wished we had one just like that. It would make us really happy. Doing exercises on the ground makes us so dirty when it rains.
With the world focused on off-track matters, it's easy to forget what counts.
I'm really happy to be going to the Olympic Games. Not many people can go, and I'm glad that Cambodia has athletes to join in a world sporting event.
Just training for a Cambodian is difficult. At the Phnom Penh Stadium, the stands are crumbling, the old cinder track is pitted with holes, and the swimming pool, the nation's only 50-metre Olympic pool, has been off limits for more than a year. Swimming 50 metres without having to turn or hit a wall is still something of a novelty for Hiam Kiri. Not that Cambodia's finest freestyle swimmer can't make it that far in a straight line, it's just that until only a month ago, he simply didn't have a pool long enough to train in.
Here in Cambodia, we come up against a lot of difficulties in our training. There are only a small number of swimmers to choose from, and we've only just been allowed back into the stadium to actually train. There's also a real shortage of swimming materials. They're expensive, and the pool itself is really not so good.
No such thing here as a National Institute of Sport. Kiri trains for 2 hours a day at dawn and dusk so he can fit in his job as a gym teacher.
You know, they don't have salaries for the training, they don't have food for the training. Now just train just for funny and enjoying their life. So I'm really glad.
Despite the problems, the Games mean the world to the 4 Cambodians who will march under their country's flag. In the true spirit of sport, it's the taking part that matters, not winning. Another Asian team with medal aspirations is the Indian archery team. The team of 6 archers completed when Tarandeep Rai and Suman Gala clinched their berth after topping India's men's and women's rankings at the national titles. While Satyadev Prasad, Marji Sawayan, Dola Banerjee and Reena Kumari are already qualified.
This time the archers who have taken part in the competition are of world standards. Till now, we have been able to achieve 4th or 5th place in a tournament. You see, in one-to-one matches, when they're competed, anybody can win. Just like you saw in major football tournaments, there are often plenty of surprises. So we are really hopeful that this time at the Olympics, our archery team will surely win a medal.
Any medal the team brings home will be welcome. After 104 years of the Games, India has managed to win only 15 medals. One Indian side expected to bring home a medal is the hockey team. However, recent turmoil has the team's former skippers up in arms, claiming frequent lineup changes are hurting the team. Their comments come after the Indian Hockey Federation sacked its 2 assistant coaches. Assistant coaches Harandra Singh and Ranjan Negi were sacked after the team's poor display at the 4-nation tournament in the Netherlands. The pair, replaced by former international Jagbeer Singh and ironically Dutchman Frank Lichter. The duo will now join the squad's support staff headed by Chief Coach Rajinder Singh and 2 German experts, Oliver Kurtz and Gerhard Rack.
Frequent chopping and changing can be very harmful, considering that the Olympics are very close. If we send a new batch of players who have not had much experience on that big stage, then they are bound to face a lot of problems. We don't have any penalty corner expert in our team right now. Without penalty corner experts nowadays, we will always presume as if only half the team is playing in any one competition. Drag flick is one weapon that almost every team should have, because these days almost every team is trying to score through that, the drag flick, as well as field goals. There are a lot of changes in the team. There are a lot of rotation of goalkeepers, and also not only the goalkeepers, but the fullbacks and the halfbacks are also being rotated. So much that there is no coordination between our goalkeepers and our deep defenders, which is really vital. Our goalkeepers also lack self-belief and self-confidence. The coaches have to work really hard, not on changing their style of play, but work on their mental toughness.
Not on changing their style because there's hardly any time to change their style, but work on the mental aspect on
The comments made at a friendly match against the Indian women's team to raise money for an ailing former player. India have been drawn in Pool B alongside defending champions, the Netherlands, Australia, Argentina, New Zealand and South Africa. Continuing with team news, and at the launch of the British competition gear, long jumper Jade Johnson, who won silver medals at the European Championships and the Commonwealth Games, expressed just how eager she was to get out and compete at an Olympics.
Physically, it's just basically fine-tuning. You've done all the work in the winter, you've done all the hard work, the graft. and now it's basically about fine-tuning, just basically putting the icing on the cake. For me, it's definitely more of a mental challenge. It's very hard sort of going out every week trying to get up for the competitions. I find it difficult kind of getting up for the Grand Prix and stuff. I actually like the major championships, so I can't wait for the Olympics. So.
The preparation of the men's coxless fours, not so organised.
Well, this time around it's actually been a sort of a difficult preparation. We've had a fair few injury problems, and last week one of our guys got pulled out with a fractured rib and a collapsed lung. So now we're just starting to rebuild a crew in the last 40 days, whereas normally you're in the final preparations, you've got a lot of practice behind you. So we're in a kind of a different thing. And if normally you're looking forward to it so much, you've got 40 days, you know, time drags on, whereas now we've only got 40 days to get up to speed.
And look out for the United Kingdom in just about every sport as they send one of the largest teams to the Games. On to lead-up events, and in athletics, the Athletissima Super Grand Prix. Olympic trials forcing many to miss out on the meet, but even a full-strength field would have struggled to beat Asafa Powell in the men's 100 metres. Look out for him, the 21-year-old Jamaican recording a winning time of 10 seconds flat. Four-time world champion Alan Johnson looked everything a gold medal winner as he set a season's best time of 13.05 to win the 110 metres hurdles. Latvian Stanislav Oliers finished in second place ahead of American Ron Bramlett. Felix Sanchez continued his two-year unbeaten streak in the men's 400 metres hurdles. Sanchez of the Dominican Republic has now won his last 38 races over this distance. He beat rivals Llewellyn Herbert of South Africa and Japan's Dai Tamasu in a time of 47.86, breaking the 48-second barrier for the first time this year. Christine Aron took the honours in the women's 100. The French woman has been the European women's 100 record holder since 1998 and was a cut above her opponents. Aron won with a time of 11.01 seconds, her best performance of the season. Hisham El Garouj had suffered his first defeat in 30 races over 1,500 metres in Rome, finishing in 8th place on that occasion, but returned to winning ways here. The four-time world champion led without challenge for the majority of the race, but Isaac Songkok of Kenya threatened with a late surge. El Garouj in first by 0.02 of a second in 3:32.2. Maria Mutola suffered a rare defeat in the 800, losing for the first time in over 2 years. The world and Olympic champion out-sprinted by Svetlana Cherkasova. The Russian clocked a winning time of 1 minute 58.91 seconds, 0.15 of a second faster than Mutola. Frankie Fredericks smashed his season's best time in the 200. The Namibian trailed Stefan Buckland going into the home straight, but ran down the Mauritian to record a time of 20.21. Speaking at a press conference prior to the US Olympic trials, Michael Phelps has clearly set his sights on the holy grail of swimming. 7 gold medals, a record achieved only by Olympic legend Mark Spitz at the 1972 Munich Games.
Being able to, or having an opportunity to be part of swimming history is an honor. And being able to take the sport to a new level is an honor. And, you know, there are not only myself, but there are other swimmers on the US swim team who can do that. And this is just, it's a way that I'm going to try something new. You know, I'm going to try something that no one else has done before.
His ambitions may be egotistical, but his coach has a different viewpoint.
I mean, I don't think that you ever achieve anything great without some great aspirations, you know? Average sort of goals will give you some average performance because you never really hit the top level of what you're shooting for, right? I mean, I always think you're somewhat less, so I think he needs to aim big.
One such critic has been Australian superstar Ian Thorpe.
You know, everybody has their own opinion. You know, I mean, I think he's saying that he doesn't think it's possible for himself to do that. You know, I don't think I would say that it's impossible. You know, Spitz did it So obviously it is possible. So, you know, I mean, I think just keeping all the opportunities and the options open is what I want to do and what I plan to do. So if something happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm at least going to try.
The man whose record is now in Phelps's crosshairs had a remarkably upbeat view of the young American's dream.
He knows what he's doing, and in certain ways he has greater margins of victory potential than I had going into my events. I mean, I look at some of the time differences between the times that he currently does or is capable of doing to the second place time. When you have a 3 or 4 second margin in a 200-meter event, I mean, that's quite large. And because of that, if he dials himself back and saves a little bit emotionally, I don't think he saves a lot physically by swimming a second slower, but maybe emotionally, just the preparation that's needed that he doesn't need to actually swim at top form. And he manages that on an ongoing basis. He has a great chance of winning the medals that he currently has world records in.
Phelps has another incentive to break or equal Spitzer's record. Swimsuit manufacturer Speedo has guaranteed him $1 million. Now living in exile in London, the former King Constantine of Greece was hardly a potential Olympic champion in the spring of 1960. But breaking his silence in a remarkable tale, he spoke about being a young man and speculating idly on the forthcoming Rome Olympics.
I was sailing in Greece in a very sort of laid-back way. And somebody said to me, look, if you really want to go to the Olympic Games, you should get a famous sailor to come and help you who happened to be Danish, called Elfström, who had won 3 gold medals. And so I said, all right, I'll get in touch with him. And I did. And he came over and sailed with me just before the Olympic Games in the pre-Olympics in May. The Olympics were in August. And he was the first person really to tell me that taking part in the Olympic Games is a very serious business. If you want to compete and win or be up on the top, you have to work at it tremendously hard. He wanted me to concentrate on every individual wave from the moment the start came till the finishing line, on every individual wave, so that the boat is going at its maximum speed. Nobody had ever told me that before, and it's quite exhausting because the concentration you have to put into it and your physical strength has to be enormous so that when there's strong wind or big waves that you can handle that. And he came in the boat with me, and we came to the first mark something like 500 meters before the second boat, and I didn't even know how we got there because he wouldn't let me look out. He only had made me concentrate on the waves. At the end of that week, we finished third. And he said, are you really going in the next 2 months to the Olympic Games? I said, yes. He said, well, you do realize that you're a lousy sailor. I said, oh, really? And I didn't realize that. And he said, well, yes, we only came third because I was in the boat with you. Now, I said, what do I do? He said, you stay in your boat and you work with your crew for 6 to 8 hours every single day between now, May, and August when the Olympic Games start. And we took that advantage with my crew, and we spent 6 to 8 hours every single day. And we went to the Olympic Games really hoping that if things went well, then we wouldn't ruin the reputation, let's say, of our country, and we would perhaps get into the first 6. We didn't anticipate that we would win it.
The chosen saviour was Denmark's Paul Elfström, winner at that stage of 3 gold medals in as many games in the Finn monotype class. When the Olympics returns to Athens, Constantine will be present as a guest, still hoping to return permanently to his native land.
That had a chain around it instead of a ribbon. Most of the Olympic...
Rome proved a memorable games in many ways for the young prince. He carried the flag in the opening ceremony, and even his gold medal was special.
Mine has vanished. When I left my country, when I tried to overthrow the dictators, and I left into exile, of course it remained behind, and I don't know where it
is now. Some of the world's leading athletes are already in Greece, competing at the IAAF Super Grand Prix in Crete, and it proved to be a night to remember for several Russian women. Although not a Games event, Gulnara Samatova shattered her own world record in the 3,000-metre steeplechase. Samatova expects to run the 5,000 at the Games. Compatriot Svetlana Feofanova dethroned her fierce rival and fellow Russian Yelena Isinbayeva to regain the world pole vault record. Feofanova improved the old mark by 1 centimetre, sailing over the bar at 4.88 metres on her second attempt. Tatiana Lebedeva resumed her dazzling form to perform the second-best triple jump in history. The versatile 27-year-old leapt to a mark of 15.34 metres, 16 centimetres shy of the world record. Australian Jana Pittman, running her third race in 6 days, set her season's best of 53.52 to win the 400 metres hurdles. Yulia Nestorenko of Belarus won the women's 100 in 11.06. Zana Block continued her struggles and finished third in 11.29, even though it was her fastest race so far this year. Chris Rawlinson of Great Britain produced an impressive performance to win the 400 metres hurdles. Rawlinson became the third fastest hurdler in the world this year when he stormed to victory in a time of 48.19. Greece's national hero Kostas Kanteras won the 200 in 20.24 seconds. At the 2000 Games, he became the first Greek man to win a track medal in the Olympics since 1896. It was believed to be Kanteras' final appearance before he defends his Olympic title. The Olympic flame started the penultimate leg of its journey home as it blazed a trail across southern Cyprus before heading home to Greece. Hundreds of islanders turned out in the scorching heat to cheer on torchbearers on a relay through ancient temples, nestled in olive groves and amphitheatres dotted along the southern coast of the East Mediterranean island. Heralded as a symbol of peace and reconciliation, the presence of the torch in Cyprus has done just the opposite and underscored deep divisions on the island, ethnic schisms between Greek and Turkish Cypriots. Greek organisers made last-minute changes to its route and shut out northern Cyprus after failing to agree on a format of welcoming ceremonies with Turkish Cypriots. Turkish Cypriots said the plan faltered on a row over whether a welcoming ceremony would be held in the north like that in the Greek Cypriot south. And in a tit-for-tat debate, organisers said they cancelled the northern Cyprus leg after Turkish Cypriots refused to agree to their terms, but have failed to be more specific. More on the Flames' final journey back to Greece next week. But that's it for this edition. Remember to keep watching Return to Athens as we bring you the latest in the behind-the-scenes news and views in the lead-up to Athens 2004.